the president of the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans, as well as the North Texas organizer for Jobs with Justice. He spends endless hours organizing around labor issues in the DFW area, and tonight he's going to talk to us about defending the rights of workers and retirees. And I was told, I don't have the privilege of meeting you, but I heard that I could tell lots of jokes about him if I knew him. So, but I haven't met you yet, so maybe we'll hear some of those tonight. But please join me in welcoming Mr. Gene Lantz.
I'm here representing the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans, which is an activist group, mostly of retirees, but anybody can join it, and I invite you all to join it. And to check out our website, texasretiredamericans.org. Things are getting very bad for retirees, but that isn't something that's new for tonight, is it? Things are getting worse for every category of people that's gotten up here so far. Things are getting worse for all of us, for everyone. Why? The problem is this: we live in normal times. But our expectations and our ideas were formed in unusual times. Most of us, especially us older people, grew up in a time when the United States dominated the world militarily, economically, and financially. While the rest of the world suffered, people in the United States got a little better all the time. Unions got a 3% raise every year. Unions started getting health care and pensions. We started getting younger people to vote. We started becoming a little more tolerant, and we got new laws so that it was a little bit easier to be an Asian in the United States, a little bit easier to be African American, a little bit easier to be gay, a little bit easier to be a woman. Those were unusual times, unknown in history, when one nation at the end of World War II was the only industrialized nation in the world that still had factories standing. The British and Americans had bombed the Germans and the rest of Europe into obliteration. The Germans had bombed Russia to pieces. The Americans bombed Japan flat. There were no other competition in the world. And the United States ruled in every way, and the people of the United States got better and better. And we came to expect that, and we thought those were normal times. They weren't. It was a very, very unusual period of history when our expectations were formed. Now we're in normal times. In normal times, the capitalists will do almost anything to you and to each other and to the people in other nations. They will eat their children, whatever it takes to make a buck. They will drive people's wages and benefits to the very bottom if they possibly can. They are in competition with capitalists and the other industrialized nations, where they are doing the same thing. It's terrible to be an immigrant in the United States, but it's awful to be an immigrant in Germany. It's awful to be an immigrant in any industrialized country right now. They're all doing the same thing, driving down wages and benefits, and in order to do that, they have to disarm us. They have to take away our civil rights, our human rights, our union rights, all of the things that we thought were normal back in those unusual times. Poverty is now growing. And it's going to grow much worse in February, next month. They are going to cut the federal budget. They are going to take away some rights and benefits from people who expect them as their rightful what they should have. Poverty is going to grow next month, and it will only be a part of a long slide downhill that will go on until we're completely impoverished and almost slaves. The solution in the short term has already been mentioned by every speaker that came up. That's to get together and fight. That's why I'm proposing, and I'll propose it tonight for the first time, although I've been thinking about it for a while, a spring mobilization in which we form separate contingents for different causes, but march in the same march. I think we need to start thinking about that. We need to unite under the idea that we are not going the way of Greece, that we are not going to become the victims of a lot of austerity programs, that we will fight these natural times and this normal behavior of our capitalist masters. That's in the short run. It's also the solution in the long run. Because I may be saying something a little bit unusual if I tell you that there is no solution in the long run under capitalism.